So by now, you've watched the videos and you've read the resources about Asara B'Tevet, the 10th of Tevet, that commemorates the beginning of the siege on Jerusalem, which brought eventually to the destruction of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babel. It is a day of fast. The chief rabbinate of Israel, in the early days of the state of Israel, decided to add another symbolic subject to this date, Asara B'Tevet, and they chose to commemorate the Holocaust, make it essentially a memorial day for the Holocaust on Asara B'Tevet, and they called it Yom HaKadish HaKlali. We know that there is another memorial day for the Holocaust that takes place in the month of Nisan. That is a day when the siren goes off and we stand and we have all the ceremonies. How come we have 2 days? Well, the more famous Memorial Day, one taking place in the month of Nisan, was founded by the founding fathers of the state of Israel, as they were looking for a symbolic day to remember the Holocaust, but on the other hand will also bring some inspiration for the new people of Israel, as it was a young country. Founding fathers were looking for a role model for its citizens to learn from. So unfortunately, many of the victims in the Holocaust were murdered without any resistance. So the state of Israel, the founding fathers were looking for an event that took place during the Holocaust that could also symbolize Jewish heroism and a fight back. And that was the Warsaw Uprising, Mered Ghetto Warsha. And they chose the day when this uprising ended or was surrendered or beaten up by the Nazis as the day to remember the Holocaust, because they wanted the citizens to see this event as an inspiring event of the new Jewish model, the one that fights back and doesn't bend down in front of its enemies. The chief rabbinate, on the other hand, didn't want to add another date to the Jewish calendar, and they were looking for an already existing date from a religious point of view, and they chose Asara B'Tevet. These two opinions led to they collide, and they brought to a lot of arguments and very heated up arguments and disputes. But what we can learn from this issue is we can see it from an historic point of view. We can identify how dates and events and memorial days and festivals and so on and so forth, how they were decided, how the founding fathers chose which days to commemorate and when. And as we can see also, sometimes there were religious point of views that came in. Nowadays, as we are more mature and our generation can understand complexity better, we can understand all the different agendas and point of views that led to those memorial days, and we don't have to take a side or like choosing one side over the other and saying they are more right and the others are wrong. But we understand that there is a complexity and everyone is right, and that the Holocaust is a big enough tragedy to have several memorial days, and we don't have to emphasize just the heroic side of Jews during the Holocaust, from physical battle, or from a spiritual aspect, that people were still following strict religious beliefs despite the Holocaust. But we can just say that the fact that people stayed human during those horrible days, that itself is true heroism, and is sufficient enough to remember and learn from. We can also see that history is not necessarily what really happened in the past. It's rather it's more what people are saying what happened. Best of luck.